Right, let me know if it's even working or not. I just snapped my tripod. Wow, looks like there's been a super chat already. Thank you so very much. Really appreciated. Right, well we're out at the pond now. I'm facing a completely different direction because my tripod just snapped as I was setting it up. Let us know if you can even hear me and the microphone's working, etc. But now I've got my light on, I can see what's going on with it. See the bit in the middle, has just completely snapped off. That's the bit that you actually mount your camera to, right? So that just snapped right off as I was setting up. So I do apologise for the delay. And hey Tracy, great to see you, my lovely. I'm so sorry to everybody. I think Tracy's one of the people who sent me a DM, and I've just completely and utterly not logged in for so long because I've had some issues with my computer with logging in. But now I'm back up and running on Discord, so I haven't read anyone's comments or messages or DMs yet, so I haven't been ignoring you. I just literally haven't got in there. But I saw a bunch of red numbers with ones and things. Hold on, I'm just trying to set this light up because it's flickering like a... it's not ideal. Is that better? Don't know why it's flickering. That should be a bit better. Sorry, everyone. Melon House, Daily Survival, moderator of all moderators. So thank you very much. So no, it's just been budget-ridden issues, really, more than anything. And some other issues as well, but, you know, I'll get into that. And, I've got to try and sort Hugo out as well. Right, Hugo, come this side. Hugo, come. Good boy, this way. Good boy, this way. Hugo. Sorry if that's really loud. Hugo, come. No, wrong way. Wrong way. He's getting himself tied up around the tree. Do apologise, hold on. No. You got to come this way. This way. Here. Sit. Stay. Good boy. Right. Now we can come back round here and get ourselves plugged back in again. Wow, what an effort for what I was planning to be a nice simple quick trek down to the pond and say hi to friends, and it's been a complete nightmare despite how simple it was all supposed to be. So I do apologise, everyone. Desperate need of a cup of tea. Hugo needs a drink, so I need to pour his water bowl out. I've got some treats for him in the bag as well. Oh dear. Right, let me have a sip of tea and then we can think about the situation. If you can call it a situation, let me know in the live chat what you're calling it right now. But what a time to be prepared, eh? What a time to be a Sigma type personality and being prepared at the same time. Oh dear, it is properly all doing what it was supposed to be doing, and I do hope that everybody has been doing what they're supposed to have been doing over the last couple of years, I suppose now. Didn't even get to finish my pre-show cigarette, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to be selfish as usual because I've just been selfish for about, 3 weeks in a row. Sometimes it's got to be done. Weather not too bad for cold at the moment. Last few I've been out. Do you know what? Elusive Dartmoor Survival, thank you so much for joining. It's great to see you. I wish it would show me, by the way, who did the super chat. So if anyone knows, let me know. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your Green Manalishi, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for your support as well, to everyone really. Sandy. Sandy's birthday was on the 19th of July. So we didn't do a show for that. I had it in my head that it was the 29th, but everybody needs to know that no, it's the 19th of July. So happy birthday to Sandy Poos, one of my moderators and good friends. Did you manage to get any projects completed due to your absence, mate? Loads. Well, I say loads, it's one big project really. This whole Sigma Prepper project is one big project. So yeah, you know, it's kind of, I'm going to do a Patreon video, because they're the people that, you know, rely on me being there for them and that, and I rely on them being there for me. So I need to do a couple of vids to catch up on that and get back in the flow basically. But yeah, sometimes it's important to completely withdraw from everything. A little bit like when you go on holiday. Do you know when you, not that we've been on holiday, but do you know when you go on holiday from work and you leave the office and you want to be able to like almost not think about work for a couple of weeks, and you kind of like go away on your vacation and you purposely sort of turn your phone off, you know, you don't look at your email, you don't log into your work email and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So there's a little bit of that in it. It's important to take a step back now and again, particularly with everything that's changing at the moment in the UK, with all the censorship laws and stuff like that we've got going on. There's a lot of challenges out there for creators, which of course is just like an added level of liability, confusion and anxiety really, I suppose, if you're a UK resident making videos in the UK. I do apologise if the wind's getting up a bit, because obviously now I'm having to face into the wind. The reason I'm having to face into the wind is because my backup tripod's one of those ones that bendy around the branches and stuff. So you're bent round the branch, you're bent over the branch basically. Yeah, how I like it and how I know you like it, being bent properly over the branch. Because my freestanding tripod, so now I'm just having to face, I'm having to face your branch. Oh dear. Good to be back in the wilderness. I noticed we're getting a little bit of light on the tree there, but not a lot. Is that more impressive? Got a bit of light on that tree, I suppose. Nothing major. So I was only planning to do a like a half-hour live or something out by the pond, seeing what people are thinking about what's going on in the world right now, and what their next purchase as a prepper you think is going to be, and what you think the most likely events upcoming that you think are going to require you to use those preps and survival gear that you've got your eye on. I'd be interested to hear your views on that. I am planning to do another bushcraft camp. I've just found a new location about 4 days ago, me and Hugo went and checked out a spot. So it's very close to my original spot, which has had some issues, and there's a few widow makers there in terms of the dead branches on the trees. There's a few dead trees in that woodland, which aren't the best things to be hooking your hammock up to and sleeping under stealth camping, right? So that's my training bug out ground. I've got a new spot there now. I don't like doing it when it's been raining. I just, there's no point if I'm going to be trying to film and things. I don't mind if I'm just doing a me camp, but if it's for taking you guys along, doing live shows while we're out in the woods, you know, setting up camp and having the camera equipment and that, I prefer if there's been a few days with no rain leading up to it, and a reasonably guaranteed no rain while I'm camping. No one likes packing up their stuff when it's all wet and damp and covered in wet leaves and goodness knows what else, right? So because I'm taking all the gear, I'm going to need to make sure the weather's going to be okay. But I don't really mind if it's going to be a bit chilly, since I've got an under blanket for my hammock that I bought years ago, and I've never camped with it. I must have had that about 2.5 years now, and just hasn't had an opportunity really. My Sigma Prepper Zippo lighter needs to be sent back for its lifetime warranty because the hinge is gone. So now I'm with my backup brass one, which these are Ranger bands. Ranger bands. You can, Debbie Sermon in the house. Hello, my darling. We were supposed to be catching up at the weekend. I'm really sorry that didn't happen. No one's caught up with me about anything for ages. Even Mrs. Sigma Prepper. Well, she has, but... but yeah, Ranger bands, and they just make it a bit more grippy. I'm not sure what comes up if you try searching Ranger bands, but they're just basically... A lot of survivalists and stuff, they'll use like inner tubes from bicycles and push bikes. You just cut up an inner tube from a push bike and into strips, and then you can put them around stuff, and it makes it nice and grippy, and they're really useful for taking off here and securing things with and that. So there's your first prepping tip from Sigma Prepper. Pondering at the pond is Ranger bands on your lighters. And I need to have another cup of tea. Well, I need to have a sip of my tea, and I need to get Hugo Bear. Let me pour Hugo Bear's water out into a bowl. So he's all right. You're right, mister. Do you want some water? You want some water? And then he can have some tea as well later on. But like I say, we're not supposed to be out here all night. We're not going anywhere, baby boy. You're just having a little drink. Yeah. There we go. Do you want some more? Do you want some more? Nice. He's liking that. Right, he's got the whole water bottle in there now, so he can't be complaining. Ugh. Sorry, I'm with company, so I'm responsible for I was going to say small child, a large child, because Hugo Bear's like 60 kilos. I think that counts as a large child. Some women aren't even 60 kilos. No, Hugo, I wasn't calling you a woman. That's a problem when dogs listen in on only half the conversation, right? Right, sip of tea, and let's see what's going on. I know it's wrong as hell, Green Manalishi, but you know, that's what you get for being right a lot of the time. I hate to say that. Oh, Debbie, my darling, it's so good to see your name in the chat, and to see everyone popping in saying hi. Nothing formal, like I say, just down the lake. Getting my gear back in gear. Yeah? It's definitely time for everyone to be getting their gear back in gear right now. Tell you, start testing your equipment, start using it, start reading through the instruction manual. I'll be doing a ham radio user guide for that, because a lot of people ask me for it, and I was worried about it being a bit gnarly for things if people don't have ham radio licenses and things. You get a load of jobs worths going, oh, don't be telling people that unless they've got a ham radio license, and they're like the most jobs worths on the planet. So if people wonder why, despite all the stuff I know about ham radio communication, I haven't done videos about it, it's just I've seen other people try and do videos, and the amount of like jobs worths piling in there, ruining it for everyone, it's not even funny. But I will get it figured out. And you need to get your equipment starting to get it tested, because there's going to be a lot of reasons to use it soon, if not already. Is World War III starting Friday? I don't know. I was actually tempted to do a Warzone Wednesday tonight, and I thought, no, I don't really want to. After having a couple of weeks of laying back and doing some other work in the background for Sigma Prepper, some more fundamental structural work I've been doing, and figuring out some new segments and things that I'll be doing. To try and circumvent the new tyranny we're under here in the UK. It's important, as the Wolfpack knows, you know, our motto is, you know, we adapt and survive. It's a Wolfpack thing, right? And it's important that we pivot, we're able to pivot quickly, we're able to adapt quickly, and we're able to navigate when new laws are created, when new acts are made and all these other things. You can try bash up against it, but there are ways to realign, right? And so with the pressure we're under here in the UK when it comes to things like freedom of speech and just freedom of thought really, let alone anything else, there's just an extra level of caution. As I've always warned people, I've usually been the first to predict when people are going to get into trouble, like I did with Funky Prepper, and then obviously it happened exactly the way I suggested it probably had done. And it's worse now than it was for him then, right? And it's worse for all of us, and particularly as a UK creator. So I think it's important that we are realistic about, we're realistic about the things that we talk about and what's important to talk about. And let's face it, most of the newbie preppers, which I'm probably not the best guy to follow if you're a proper newbie. People say that I explain things very easily and stuff like that, but I tend to focus more on the high level stuff. So it's usually for people who've already been to all the other prepper channels and want something a little bit more depth and things like that, a little bit more thought through. And so the problem with that is you're funneled into a particular place where it's quite difficult to. I don't really need to be convincing people why they need to prepare, let's put it that way, right? There's other channels out there, I don't need to name them, but there's other channels out there who are like proper fearmongery, and a lot of their videos are all about what's going on in the world, because it's a good excuse to make a daily video, and of course consistency is the key, right? And having an excuse to make a video every day, if you don't know that much about prepping and survival, I guess it's easier to just talk about what's going on in the news every day. But really the objective there from a survival business point of view would be to give people the reason why they need to prepare, which is as important as how to prepare. You need to, obviously, newcomers who are just waking up to the fact that their life may not always be as convenient and easy and catered for as it is right now, and how they would get on in a situation without anything. And more people are questioning that, and they find the fear-mongering stuff that open their eyes to real possibility of things that can hit the fan and can catch them out and their family and their neighbours and their loved ones, and that's when they really start on their journey of preparedness. And I'm usually the guy that comes down the line when they've kind of done all that basic stuff that all the basic guys talk about. So I shouldn't really need to convince people as to why they need to prepare, which is the purpose of doing things like the global threat analysis reports, the SHTF intel reports and things like this. The objective there is to keep it realistic and more strategic approach to preparedness, so that we're looking for the things that are most likely to hit the fan first, and not wasting money on preps and survival gear that is never going to come into play, or for a scenario that's highly unlikely to play out when there's other scenarios that are on the cusp of playing out and no one's giving it a second thought, right? So that's the purpose and objective of those sorts of videos. But of course they become problematic because anything dealing with current everyday news is political, and the minute you start getting into that realm, you start treading on the toes of the censors and things like this, and you start getting chased around the internet, and you get kicked off YouTube. You end up on Rumble, and then you go from there to other places, and you're just going down and down the chain, right? And the whole point of Sigma Prepper is to be more of a commercial, mainstream type of a thing that normal people can identify with, rather than some guy wearing his camo, yapping about knives all the time or whatever it is. Yeah. So as a result, it's just going to be more about, I need to avoid that a bit more. And there's not really, like I say, much purpose in me talking about the news every day, other than an excuse to make a video every day with current trending topics that you can get in on the keywords. That's basically why people do it, right? There's not really as many people searching for what's the best head torch as there are people searching for what's going on between this country and that country at the moment, or what tariff Donald Trump's randomly put on what other random country now this time, right? It's like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the minute I did the video and I released like a 45-page book, a guide about how to survive the tariff and the trade wars, my channel saw another level of censorship just for teaching people who really pays the tariffs. This is how bad it's got. When an empire is dying and they're on the floor fitting and foaming at the mouth, these are the crazy lengths that dying empires go to try and stop their population talking about the fact that they're dying. It's quite incredible. But it just escalates things because people see more and more of the censorship and start asking why more? Are they censoring more? And there's only one conclusion to come to, is because they obviously, you know, don't want you to know the truth. And usually if someone doesn't want you to know the truth, it's because the truth isn't something you're going to like. Yeah. We're so far down the line now, it's not even funny. Yeah. To be honest, I don't like saying it, but the best way to prepare right now is to make sure you get out of any Western country you might be living in. If you're living in a Western country, you are in harm's way. If you're not living in a Western country, you're going to fare a little bit better. That's basically where we're at. Yeah. Just as I always tell people, you need to pivot and adapt to survive. All the other countries are doing just that. They're pivoting away from the West, and we haven't got much left to show for ourselves, and they're the ones seemingly with all the resources and all the workforce and all the factories and all the and all the prosperity. So this is why you're seeing such an exodus from, you know, places like the UK. Yeah, more people leaving here than any other country in the world. People say, oh, more millionaires leave China. Well, it's only because there's more millionaires in China, because it's like 1,400 million people versus 68, 70 million people in the UK. So, but when you're talking about per capita, per GDP population as a percentage of exodus from a country, there's no country on the planet out of 190 odd countries, there's no country that's got more people leaving it than the UK. And the fact that the UK last year was voted as the second most depressing country to live in on the planet out of 190 plus countries, I wonder if those two things happen to be linked. I wonder indeed. Fuck me. Anyway. But we're not allowed to talk about that either. We'll get maced and tased. Maced and tased. They'll throw away the key. I don't think that's the correct government line that I'm supposed to be parroting. I haven't been given a script. I think it would just at this point be easier if our Western governments just gave us scripts to read from when we're at work talking to our colleagues, when we're around the dinner table talking to our families. Yeah. When we're online talking to our friends like I am now, right? It'd be much easier if Keir Starmer would just give me a script that I can read from that's safe. It would be less complicated to do that than to give me the rule book of all the things you're not allowed to talk about, or that you're going to decide tomorrow that you're not supposed to have talked about a year ago, or some shit like that. I think most countries that are civilized call that entrapment. Not sure. So the point to that is that, as you can appreciate, it's a difficult game, and when you're not being paid any money to do it, there's no financial benefit to the liability and the risk as a business in this space. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm living on $200 a month or whatever in terms of income, rather than 120 grand a year doing what I'd normally be doing, to be putting myself out there in harm's way and as a target. And you know, the numbers are difficult to add. The numbers are tricky, right? Usually any risk is relative to what the gain is, and any gain is relative to what the risk is, right? That's the key to making good business decisions, right? Is to understand the risks. And Pedigree Mongrel, one of our moderators, good to see you, my man. You know, being a good business decision maker is all about understanding risk and gain, and when you're taking all the risk and there's not really any financial or any other form of gain that even enables you to survive and live, then you just think, wow, it's a lot of risk to take, it's a lot of liability without any return on that investment of risk and liability, do you know what I mean? So this is probably what people mean when they say they can't afford to make videos. Yeah, it's not necessarily affording the cost, it's affording the risk at this point. Yeah, it's become a minefield to navigate. So despite my how can I say, despite my highly regarded expansive knowledge of global economics, global politics and things like this, it's going to be wasted knowledge really, as long as we're living in the UK, because we can't talk about any of that stuff. And so the only way around that is we can talk freely in the after parties that we have on the Discord server. That's usually always open to VIP Patreon members, and on a few occasions a month I do public ones. So get yourself joined up on Discord server. It's a great place to be. It's basically a knowledge base of prepping and survival, and a great community. There's a great wolf pack there that are there to help you. And we have after parties that are audio, you know, where we have groups of people in a chat room that we can all talk to each other and hear each other. Some people just listen along, other people are actively, you know, wanting to talk about topics with me or with other individuals in the chat. It's a great sort of family event really, and I really miss doing those regularly because we haven't done one for a bit, so we want to get back in that. Thanks Daily Survival, putting the link up there now. I think it should be in the description as well below. It's free to join. A lot of people charge to join their Discord servers, and mine's one of the biggest when it comes to resources and sections and categories, and it's completely free. It's there as a community resource really, and a way to meet people in the same space. Obviously those after parties are more of an exclusive thing, so we're a bit more free to talk about things. And I think that's what I'm going to do, is to just restrict our conversations when it comes to global politics and some of the global economic elements, and maybe some of the war stuff going on that isn't safe to talk about openly. That would be the place for us to have those conversations on our voice chat after parties. So I'm going to start those back up regularly. They used to take a lot out of me because I'd do like a 3-hour live show, and then I'd be on an after party for about another 6 to 9 hours solid after, because there's a lot of people through a lot of time zones that come on and want to say hi and chat about certain topics, and you know, preps they've just bought or thinking about buying, or you know, some news story that they want to get my insight in what I think's really going on and things like this, right? And I'm like a Duracell bunny, do you know what I mean? I'll just keep going until I drop, and that's typically what I end up doing. I just feel bad. I feel bad like cutting things short, right? So I need to start those up, but I need to try and limit that to not be going on for like 9 hours, which is great for the individuals who get to talk to me for like 2 hours solid, whatever country they're in during that time, and then they pop off, and then someone else will pop on from, you know, like Margie Mulder from Alaska or whatever, whose time zone's even more shifted over. I miss talking to Margie Mulder and catching up with her as well. So usually by about 6 in the morning, I'm talking to Margie in Alaska. So I really enjoy it, but again, when I was doing that 3 times a week and then getting to sleep at 10 AM and then waking up at 2 PM in the afternoon, and then messes your body clock up big time. No one's given themselves to their community the way I do, and there just comes a point where you just got to try and balance that with health, and take a step back and say, okay, how am I going to go about this? We know that YouTube doesn't want me to grow, doesn't want people to find me. Let's just accept that and maintain our community. And in the meantime, I'm going to be focusing on more the kind of topics that are going to help us to strategically prepare, and some force multipliers that we need to talk about. I've got a lot of prototypes of things that I've built over the years for survival gear, things like shields and stuff, right? Protective gear, which I've prototyped and things that I'd like to share, because there's a lot of things that people can build themselves DIY at home, whether you're a single low woman or, you know, a family of 5, as I always say, right? You're going to benefit from a lot of things that we can talk about. But I just think it's it's problematic now with, and you know, if anyone looks at the Sigma Prepper website, again, links in the description of this video, but since the very beginning, not the very beginning, because that was like 2001 or whatever, but from the very beginning of the Sigma Prepper channel, back in 2022 or whatever, there's a page on my website, it's linked on the main menu, SHTF Intel. And the idea of that page, there's a graph on there that shows in order what I theorized as being the most relevant threat to people globally, in Western countries particularly anyway, I can speak for. In order of most likely to be kicking off on what you need to prepare for. Because again, I thought that was the most important thing, is people who are on limited budgets can't just go out and spend loads of money on loads of stuff. So it's important that we understand what are the most likely things to kick off, that once you understand that, you'll understand the more the sort of things that you need to prepare for, and therefore what resources you need, what gear you're going to want, and so on, right? And the sort of videos that we don't, let's just say we don't really need to talk about global politics and things that people are getting into trouble for, because it's just not worth the risk. And until we can find a way to not have to be under the rule, right? But this was the point since 2022. It's been the same since then. At the very top of SHTF Intel page, the biggest threat from the beginning has been totalitarianism. If you go and look at the website now, sigmaprepper.com, right, /SHTF-Intel, right? They have changed a lot over the last several years, but the top one has always been totalitarianism as the biggest threat as to why you need to prepare. And here we are, exactly as predicted. It's the thing that's going to get everyone the first, and it already has started getting people. Yeah, it's got me. I mean, this is why I can't earn a living, right? It's all due to that totalitarianism that is being put on everyone, and the Western countries seem to be the most totalitarian. Yeah, there's a reason why everyone around the world is comparing the UK to North Korea now. People used to say China, but they've realised that China's not like what they thought it was. It's not communist in any way, shape or form. The only thing communist about it is the fact that they don't pay for healthcare. That's about it, right? There's nothing communist about China's economy at all. So that's kind of irrelevant now. So it's like North Korea is like what the UK is compared to. It's quite incredible, man. Oh man, I've been talking about this as a prediction for so many years, but it's been tongue-in-cheek until maybe the last 3, and to see it all pan out exactly, not exactly, but pretty much as I saw it panning out is, I can only kind of smile at it now. Because I've been through that, getting angry and getting frustrated and getting resentful and mourning the country that you once had, mourning the social fabric that you once enjoyed. I've been through all that and come out the other side now. You have to get to the point where you accepted it. It's fucked. Just accept it. We're fucked. Yeah, the West is fucked. You just got to, when you get to the acceptance phase, it's actually reasonably, all right, it's fucked. So what do we do? Yeah? You always got to be getting straight to the solution once you identify the problem, because a lot of people are identifying the wrong problems, and the problems they are identifying around them are things that they have no control over making go away. Yeah, don't forget, it's about your ability to adapt, pivot, maneuver, yeah? It's like the Chinese proverb thing about flow like water around a rock, down a stream. Don't try and bash into the rock, try and move the rock, just flow around the rock, man. This is how more and more we've got to become. Yeah, there's so many things, and now more than ever, being adaptable is going to be your key to survival, which is why it's been a big theme from the Sigma Prepper brand. As a Sigma individual, as a Sigma personality, who's all into self-development, self-growth, personal accountability, self-sustainability, self-reliance. This is what makes you a Sigma character, right? You're not a beta who wants to be ruled by someone, and you're not an alpha who wants to rule everyone. You just want to be left to do your own fucking shit and be reliant upon yourself and not be mollycoddled and told how to live. This is basically what makes up a lot of the Sigma personality type mindsets. That's what makes us who we are, right? And why we congregate together and why we all feel like we're feeling the same vibe, you know. We understand that our ability to understand our environment gives us, when I say understanding our environment, that includes understanding the geopolitics that I was saying earlier is difficult for us to talk about, but understanding the geopolitical climate we're in is what gives us the ability to extrapolate the trend forward to say, okay, well, if current trends continue, quite clearly, this is where we will end up in n number of months, weeks, or days, right? It's a very simple process, and you know, there are some things you have to accept and never going to go back. There are some things you have to accept are just fucked and never going to be unfucked, and there's some things you just have to accept that you cannot change. But what you can change, other than instead of your environment, is you can change yourself. And you can grow yourself, right? And you can, even if that means growing to accept your new environment, right? You know, sometimes that can be a far better way of living than continually spending the rest of your life bashing your head up against a brick wall, wasting your fucking time protesting a government. Like protesting ever worked. Like voting ever worked, yeah? It's just, come on. If you haven't figured it out by now, every single year in the last 20 years, 25 years, every single year has been worse than the year before. If people haven't seen that trend yet, that every single year without fail since 2001 has been worse, less freedoms, less economic freedoms, less prosperity, less everything, yeah? Not a single year has been better than the year before. As an example, that's what we would call a trend, right? So when you've had a 25-year trend of shit getting worse every fucking year, relentlessly, without abatement, you can only assume that next year is going to be even shittier than this year. So you'll do well to just anticipate next year being even shitter than this year, and then at least you can adapt to the reality of the fact that you'll have an expectation bar that's a lower threshold, so you've got less to be disappointed about when you get to next year and act all fucking surprised when it's worse than this year. When everyone said, I didn't think it could get any worse, right? Well, how many times have we said that? Oh, about 25 times in the last 25 years, I think. Come on. See the pattern. So you ain't changing it, I ain't changing it. Those, with all due respect, time wasters, and you can throw your hate at me all you want, but the time wasters who are outside Parliament with their little cardboard signs, and half of them are paid by the government to be there, but they're cardboard signs protesting some bullshit, thinking that's going to change your environment and who lives in your town or some fantasy you've got. I don't even know what to tell you at this point. Cheers, everyone. Love, peace, and progress to the pack. And no spiders in my tea. I'll tell you what, just hearing the crickets and the wildlife at night is already making me super looking forward to a couple of nights camping. I want to have at least 2 nights, hopefully 3. We'll do a couple of live shows as well from the woods with my gear. I may do the full-on camo, my camo netting again. It's super effective this time of year. As the year gets later on, I need to drop back to my brown netting. But the foliage is still looking pretty green at the moment, so. I do appreciate everyone being here. Thank you, everyone. Big time pedigree mongrel, good to see you, man. Libra Stella. Mummy Spider T. Why are we congratulating Tracy J? What's she done? What have I missed? Come on. Hit the thin thumbs up, says Tonette. Yeah, do it. I'm going to be a grandmother in late December. I never thought it would happen, my absolute darling. Tracy's a stellar example of a fine mother bringing up sons. And now she's going to be a grandmother. And I imagine if she's anything like the sort of mother she is as a grandmother, she's going to be ace. Isn't that right, Tracy? There's my jeweler. There's my jeweler. Imagine if the internet was a thing in 1939. With everyone tapping on their keyboards expecting saving the country was someone else's job, because that's the mindset today. Do you know, I think you've hit on a really good point there, Julie, because I think that does play a big point into it. I think where people are watching other people protesting or having a rant about what's going on in the world, in the Western world anyway, I think it's almost like people, there's a name for this syndrome. It's a commonly referred to term in marketing. I forget the technical term for it now. But anyway, there's a thing like, you know, the thing where if you buy a gym membership, even if you don't go to the gym, you feel better about yourself because you've bought a gym membership. You get the same endorphins released as you do had you gone to the gym. Have you ever heard about the research studies that look at that? Yeah, just by buying gym membership, whether you go or not, it sort of gives you the same chemical release as actually going to the gym. That's why so many people get gym membership and they never end up going to the gym, right? Because they've already got that hit to say, oh well, I've joined the gym, so I've started on that journey at least. They convince themselves that. So there's a similar thing that happens, which, you know, Julie there, my 2 Up 2 Down Castle, is touching on, whether she knows it or not. But and I can't even find your message now, Julie. But she was saying about people being, I'm not going to let it get away from me now. I don't like to be beaten by a message that disappears from me. Here she is. Expecting saving the country was someone else's job. Sorry, that was the thing. Yes. And you see, it is, and this is it. In that same way as like if you buy gym membership, it makes you feel like you've done good, and therefore when you watch people protesting on the streets on social media, you feel as though you have participated, and therefore that's kind of enough. And so where you're saying there, Julie, in 1939, I don't know, in 1939 had people had social media, maybe it'll be like it is now, where they think, well, it's never going to happen because it never has, not in our time, and we're all modern now. And I think there's an element of that plays in. I think people just assume that because we're supposed to be civilized nations, we're not going to have any war anymore. There's bits of twigs falling out of the tree. I've been going 44 minutes, which is 14 minutes longer than I had anticipated. I said half an hour, just to see if I could. I do need to start doing slightly shorter format videos. So that was why I was going to see if I could do a 30-minute video just for a laugh. But I'll tell you what, Mr. Hugo Bear has been such a good boy. He's been so quiet. So he's going to get himself a nice little treat that I bought for him. Oh, Mr. Hugo Bear, what's Daddy got for you? I'll tell you what Daddy's got for you. Check it out, man. Chewy, what is it? Chewy duck twists. You heard it right, chewy duck twists. Let me know if that's mirrored or not. I've got a feeling, I'm pretty sure that YouTube always mirrors the screen, does it? You just had your 7th what, Flat Cap Gaming? Grandchild? It is mirrored, Julie. Is you telling me that it is reverse though, mirror though? There must be a way on here. Mirror. Oh, that's useless. I'm really not impressed with the YouTube streaming app. There's just no feature. I like loads of feature, man. Loads of settings and configurations and buttons. You don't get anything on the YouTube thing. You can't change anything to do with your camera. Can't do anything to do with your audio. You can't unmirror the video. Who wants it on mirrored? That's literally for like, what do you call it, people who want to see themselves in the camera all the time. That's all that's for. Otherwise, what point is there of it being mirrored? Where's Hugo Bear? Yummy, yummy. Hugo Bear, duck twist. Duck twist. There we go. Good boy. We'll let him have another one, and I'll let him have a little sip of my tea as well. He does love the tea. He does love the tea. What am I looking for? Is that my cup all the way over there? How did that go all the way over there? My cup must have rolled all the way down there near the pond. The pond's behind me, by the way, for those that enjoy me. In Brazil, got to figure out a way to get it back to UK, probably going to be expensive. Yeah. Eldest grandchild is 12 today, in fact, says Flat Cap Gaming. Happy birthday to your 12-year-old grandson. Daughter. Child. Undisclosed sext. Grandchild. Tracy J needs a brew. So do I, and I've got limited amounts left. Good to see you, Green Man Alishi. Thank you for joining us, my man. I really appreciate you, buddy. And I'll catch up with everybody's WhatsApp messages, not WhatsApp, Discord messages. I'll check it out tomorrow, because when I looked in here today, there was loads in there, because I've been avoiding everything for ages. So there's a few people I need to get back to and apologise for my rudeness. And I am also now fully in the market for a new tripod. So my next Patreon pennies, right? Thank you to the VIP Patreon members. Just so you know, this is what the sort of gets spent on. The next Patreon sheets or YouTube sheets, if I ever get paid from YouTube ever again. Mind you, there's been a super chat today, so we're on the journey. $6.69 towards the $120 minimum payout. But here's my tripod that snapped when I was setting up tonight. So I think my next investment purchase is going to have to be a new small. I've got loads from, I used to run a media company, so I've got some massive tripods that are like 700 quid tripods when I bought them. But I can't be lugging them into the woods, right? So this is like my really cheap and nasty tripod, but it just happens to be the smallest one I've got. And now I don't have one as small as this anymore. You can see the nastiness of the quality of it. I mean, this was probably like $8.99. In fact, I might have even bought this when we were living in Thailand, in like some super cheap store in Thailand or something, in Bangkok. It's usually where most of my stuff's from. Oh dear. Right, there we go. Let's close it all up ready. Like, I'm already packing up. We haven't even finished the live show yet. Oh dear. 101 uses in a survival situation with a broken tripod. That's what we need to be doing as a video, isn't it? Right, let's clip you on there. We'll get the little tripod bag out. We might as well, because we're all organised like that. Because if you're going to put your broken tripod in the bin, you might as well put it in the bin in its bag. I'll have to try and find the bit that was inside it. I think it's over there somewhere next to my bag. Don't want to leave any rubbish now. Don't want to leave any litter in the wilderness. I can hear various... Just as I said that, I can hear various types of wildlife. 100% I wish I was still in Thailand, Mel. I don't wish I was still in Cyprus though, because we lived in Cyprus for about 3 years as well. Just across the water from Israel. And Cyprus isn't like it used to be now either, as a result of what went on with Iran and you know who doing you know what. But yeah, Southeast Asia is just more free, more prosperous, less tyrannical, you know, nicer people. Not the second most depressing planet on the country, second only to Somalia. The second most depressing country on the planet, second to Somalia, is what the UK was voted as last year. Specifically depressing was the word. So I don't know how that gets measured. There's a reason this bronze Zippo lighter is my backup one. It's never lit properly. I need to put a new wick in it. That's another video I need to do. The ultimate guide to preppers' options with lighters. Yeah. So there was like ducks and stuff basically on the pond making noises. And Hugo's properly into ducks, it's not even funny. Yeah, just reading Tonet's message there. Right. How you feeling, Mr. Hugo Bear? You feeling good? The wolf pack's feeling good? Do you know, I do actually have a couple of chocolates in my pack, but I thought I had another little thing for Hugo, a little treat or something. Yeah, I do. It's this thing here. There's like one left over from when I was out with him last time, look. And again, pointless because YouTube seems to mirror the camera. Thanks, YouTube. That's quite strong smelling. That smells like Bovril. It smells like Marmite. Yeah. Some people love Marmite, some people don't. Let's see if Hugo does. Do you like Marmite, Hugo Bear? Try that. See if you like it. He thinks anything I give him is human food anyway. So he trusts me. If I feed him something, he knows it's something that he can eat. Unless it's something he can't. In which case I wouldn't feed it to him. Like avocado, for example, is not something you should feed to dogs, or raisins, or dark chocolate particularly. Milk chocolate in very, very small doses, but again, he's a 60-kilo dog, but dark chocolate, definitely no. Not even milk chocolate, but on special occasions. On special occasions, I may purposefully allow the chocolate to melt in between my fingers to allow him to lick it off. It's the least you can do for your doggy, come on. Human food is just a matter of perseverance and positive attitude to digestion, like it. Anytime, hey up Lee, hey up Choc, anytime you've watched, the first time I came across Joe Rogan wasn't with the UFC, it was before that. It was when he did the Fear Factor. And I don't think many people in the UK ever saw Fear Factor. We were living in Southeast Asia when that was airing, so we used to get all the American TV when we were living there. So we watched Fear Factor when it was running in America. But a lot of people never heard of Fear Factor. They've all heard of Joe Rogan, but don't actually know where he actually made his fame way before the UFC, right? But when you've watched enough episodes of Fear Factor, I think that's quite good. As a prepper and a survivalist and things, I think you need to be able to get through some episodes of Fear Factor. And out the other side, you need to start there, yeah. The whole point really of preparedness is, a lot of it is putting yourself purposely outside your comfort zone. No self-growth ever came from staying in the comfort zone, ever. Yeah, I don't go and camp in the woods and stealth solo camp with nothing but a couple of water filters and hammock and all that because it's comfy. On the contrary, I do it because it's not. I do it because it tests yourself and your ability to what? That's it, adapt. You're getting it. You're getting it. At this point, adapting means just leaving the Western country, leaving the Western hemisphere. Oh, fuck. Oh, dear. Or adapting may actually mean, in some countries, it may actually mean you learning a completely new language so you can, so you can fit in. Oh, man. What do you think, Hugo Bear? Huh? What do you think? He agrees, you see. Just getting out and just doing it, exactly. Although I've got a bit of a sticky hip at the moment, and walking down here with my semi-heavy pack, my media pack I call it, wasn't too bad. Is Rogan a CIA op? I think anytime you get to a size of that size, you are already unwittingly an asset of theirs. The minute you get to the point where you've got like 1 million or so subscribers, regular followers or tuner-inners, you're considered an influencer to the point where you can be flagged under national security threat because somebody who is in a position to influence the minds of 1 million people is more than 5 times the amount of people that CNN, MSNBC, CNBC can mold the minds of combined. So this is why it's a massive threat. Influencers are a massive threat to the establishment because of the fact that they have the ability to influence. The clue's in the fucking word. So whether Joe Rogan wanted to be, was originally, or didn't want to be is irrelevant. The minute you get to the point where you are an influencer of that level, you are already a threat if you say the wrong shit. Yeah? Like falling outs between country leaders has happened over influencers doing certain things and saying certain things, right? That's the reality of it. So you got to know that once you get to a certain size, it's the same with anyone's name you can mention, right? It wouldn't matter who it is. If it's someone that everybody knows, they are an influencer, which means they would have at some point in time had a visit by someone, had an email by someone, had a sit down by their agent, had a sit down by their manager, had a sit down by their sponsor, right? They do it through many means of control, of usually through things like sponsorship deals. Yeah. So they'll do a sponsorship deal, for example, for a big brand that's worth a couple of million a year or whatever contract. And there'll be stipulations in that contract, you see, for that big mainstream sponsor. So that sponsor could even be the State Department, it could be Sony, it could be Apple, right? But what you'll find is that the State Department itself will inject itself into those contracts for the sponsorship deals if they're an influence of a certain level, because you come under the national security threat of influencers, right? Your sponsorship contract will include all of the little things to say what you can talk about, what you can't talk about, what opinions you can share, what opinions you definitely can't share, and if you do, this is what's going to happen. You'll get sued for 20 million bucks. Don't forget, I've been on the Amazing Race TV show. It's like a $30 million Sony Pictures production. Race around the world for $1 million bucks, right? Me and Mrs. Sigma Prepper were on that show. Again, I don't think you can call yourself a survivalist if you haven't been on something like the Amazing Race, right? So, me and my missus came out the other side of that alive, right? But when you see how $30 million productions, and when you see the contracts that me and Magic Hand, Mrs. Sigma Prep had to sign at Sony Pictures, we're talking Hollywood Sony Pictures here, right? Our contract is worth $6 million, meaning if we open our mouths about certain things about production that I can't tell you about, we get sued $6 million forever. It doesn't relinquish. If I started telling you stuff now that I know about stuff, that's the reason that I can't tell you about it, because you're not even supposed to know that it even isn't supposed to know what you're even not supposed to know. Just even telling you what I've just told you now makes me nervous. Do you know, my first YouTube channel in 2006, before it was bought by Google, the first video I put on that YouTube channel that got taken down within 10 hours, this is way back before AI, right? 2006. Sony Pictures had it fucking removed within 10 hours. It was my audition video. This was way after it was auditioned, filmed, edited, aired, primetime TV for fucking 6 months till it ran on primetime TV. The show that we were in, there's like 14 episodes. After all of that, and like a year after that, I uploaded my audition video that me and Mrs. Sigma Prepper did to get on that show, and that was taken down instantaneously. So these people don't fuck about. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know what kind of powers they've got nowadays, right? But just so you know, I don't make this shit up, you know. This comes from spending a life in media, right? It's my job to know this shit, and the only reason I spent my life in media is because of experiences like being on the Amazing Race TV show. And the only reason I went on the Amazing Race TV show is because I wanted to test myself. I wanted to test. When you watch that show on the TV and you see all these challenges and these crazy things like scaling up a fucking cliff or abseiling off like the Empire State Buildings, crazy shit like this, yeah? Just day after day after day, racing donkeys through the streets of New Delhi in India, carrying onions in baskets. What the fuck, right? This is what you're doing every day. No sleep, no nothing. Just getting on a plane, going to Singapore, getting on a plane, going to India, getting on a plane, yeah? Going to Cambodia, shit like this is just random. And when you experience that and you get to test yourself when you see the show on TV and you think, oh, these people don't know what they're doing, man, I'll be much better than them at that. But you've got to actually get out there and test yourself, because otherwise, how do you know, right? It's all speculation. And that's just another good example of like putting yourself out of your comfort zone and just pushing yourself and challenging yourself. And that's, again, another big part of what makes somebody a Sigma type personality, is they're all about growth and self-challenge, and just being, you know, they're really in competition with their previous selves of yesterday. Yeah, that's the only person I'm competing with. Is as good as I was yesterday is to be better today. As much as I laughed yesterday is to laugh more today, right? As the many members of our Wolfpack community there were yesterday, to have more today. So if I raced a donkey, I'd make an ass of myself, says Libra Stella. Dug-a-dung. And on that bombshell, it's 63-minute stream. We was only going to be going half an hour, and here we are, still babbling on. And it's whatever time of night it is. I don't know. You got the time, Hugo? Do you know what time it is? Nah, he doesn't know. You all right, mister? I gave him a shower the other day, so he's feeling beautiful and soft. He's like proper Clinton's card teddy bear soft. If you don't live in the UK, you probably wouldn't understand what Clinton's card teddy bear soft is, but you know the little card shops for the birthday cards and that, and they sell the little cuddly toys and the I love you mugs. Do you know how soft those cuddly toys are in those stores? Hugo Bear, yeah, softer than, no messing about. Anyway, talking of messing about, time to crack on. We're gonna get my broken tripod packed up, my slightly broken chair packed up, and head back to our homestead. And like I say, in the next, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, there should be a good enough spat of weather where we can get a proper solo stealth bushcraft camp going for a couple of nights with Hugo. It'll be the first time I've ever had an animal with me that I've been responsible for during a solo camp. So theoretically, it won't actually be a solo camp at all, will it? It will be a man and his dog camp, I suppose we'll call it. So I've got that coming up. Definitely keen to get that rocking. I've got this new location that I scouted out last week, which I'm really keen to test out. Me and my boy Jake, who came to visit my side of the UK over the weekend, we went down there and had a little recce on our mountain bikes. It should be all right for me to walk it with my pack, but I'll talk about that at a time. And tomorrow I'll be checking in on Discord and catching up with everyone that I've missed their DMs and stuff like that, so I do apologise everyone. I'll do a video on Patreon anyway, going into a bit more detail on some of my enlightenments and some of my findings, and it'll be all very interesting stuff, right? So in the meantime, thank you everyone. I really appreciate you all catching up with me just in this little catch up, our pondering at the pond, and I shall catch up with you fine people on the next one, and I'll be on Discord tomorrow catching up with people's messages. So again, I do apologise for ignoring everyone for a couple of weeks, taking a step back while I've been working on some survival gear products that I'm building for Sigma Prepper. Looking forward to launching them. Got a new stock for the Survival Hotspots as well incoming, because they sold out real quick. I've got 2 left out of 30 something. So the VIP link will only take you straight to the fully priced hotspot link now, because they are in demand, and of course I haven't changed the price on them for 5 years or whatever, so and the cost of everything's gone up significantly. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I'm going to try and keep the same VIP members price when I replenish the stock, which I'm just waiting to get the laser engraved shield plates back from the manufacturers. So they're en route. So I'll be talking more about that as well. There'll be more back in stock, which would be good. I've had a few people reach out and say, when am I going to have the VIP priced ones back on the website? So the link's in the description below, but it will take you to the non-VIP price, which is already discounted, but not as much as the VIP patrons, because I love them so much, because they help me to keep coming back making videos despite what YouTube's doing to me. So thank you to everyone supporting me in the way that you do. Thank you to the super chat we had earlier on. Really appreciate your support. Thank you to the VIP patrons that are sticking with me, and the YouTube members as well. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed catching up with me pondering at the pond with Hugo Bear. We're going to get packed up and I'll catch up with you on the other side in the meantime. What can I say? Love, peace and progress to this beautiful wolf pack. Have a good day, my lovelies.